10 grams. That's the new 2026 limit for added sugar per meal in the new Dietary Guidelines for Americans. But what does that mean? I've been asked a lot of questions over the years about sugar, and I'm tackling them in a culinary medicine recipe episode. Welcome to Culinary Medicine Recipe. I'm so happy you're here. I'm your host, Dr. Sabrina Falquier. I was a primary care doctor for 16 years and went to school for 4 years to specialize in culinary medicine. In this work, I get to combine my passion and expertise in both medicine and food to teach people about food as medicine and to empower them to understand what ingredients optimize health and also how to cook those ingredients to make delicious meals. On this show, I interview top chefs, doctors, healthcare visionaries, and food service professionals who are making great strides in the field of culinary medicine. Join me as we continue to explore the amazing world of culinary medicine, where I will empower you to make changes to your health and wellness with great food right away. Hello, and welcome to today's episode. Today, I'm diving into a conversation that comes up all the time: sugar. With the release of the new Dietary Guidelines, this discussion has resurfaced, and I thought it would be helpful to frame today's episode as a Q&A based on questions I've been asked over the years and some that came through on social media, so thank you for that input. So, what's the maximum amount of added sugar we should eat? Current recommendations suggest a maximum of 25 grams or 6 teaspoons per day for women and children, and about 35 grams or 8.5 teaspoons per day for men. I want to emphasize that this refers to added sugar, not naturally occurring sugar in whole foods. Here's a concrete example. 1 cup of plain yogurt contains about 10 grams of natural sugar, which comes from lactose, which is used to make yogurt. But if you choose a flavored yogurt like vanilla or fruit flavored, that same serving can contain 20 to 35 grams of sugar. And only about 10 grams of that are natural, again, from that lactose. The rest is added sugar. And a single soda can contain 40 grams of sugar or more in 1 serving. So you can see how this adds up really quickly. A sweetened cereal plus sweetened coffee in the morning alone can exceed your entire daily recommendation. The new Dietary Guidelines also mention limiting added sugar to about 10 grams per meal. But this can get confusing. Does a sweetened beverage count as a meal? Does a snack count? This is why I prefer to think about sugar intake across a full 24-hour period or 1 full day, rather than trying to calculate it meal by meal. Now, next question. Is sugar from fruit the same as sugar from soda? Absolutely not. When you eat a whole fruit, like an apple or an orange, mango, or banana, you're eating a fruit in its natural form, which includes fiber. That fiber helps slow down the blood sugar response and changes how your body processes the sugar. It's really different than juice and soda. And even juice, if it's 100% juice, often contains the sugar of multiple fruits with most or all of the fiber removed. For example, it takes about 4 to 6 oranges to make 1 cup of orange juice. How often would you sit down and eat 4 to 6 oranges in 1 sitting? This distinction is especially important for people with personal or family history of diabetes or prediabetes. Whole fruits are not the problem. They are part of a valuable part of healthy eating pattern. Now, next question. What's the difference between glucose and fructose metabolism? So, glucose and fructose are both sugars, but the body processes them very differently. Glucose is used by nearly every cell in your body. So when you eat glucose, it raises your blood sugar and triggers insulin release, which helps move that glucose into cells for energy or storage. Muscles and the brain rely heavily on glucose, and the body has built-in systems to regulate it. Foods that mostly break down into glucose include starches like bread, rice, tortillas, pasta, and potatoes, as well as beans, lentils, milk, and plain yogurt. Fructose is handled almost entirely by the liver. Small amounts like fructose found naturally in whole fruit are not the problem because they come with fiber, water, and nutrients that slow absorption. Whole fruits like apples, oranges, mangoes, berries fit here. But larger amount of fructose, especially from added sugars, can overwhelm the liver over time. Sources like soda, fruit juice, juice concentrates, candy, pastries, agave, honey, and foods made with high fructose corn syrup deliver fructose quickly and without fiber, which can contribute to fat buildup in the liver, higher triglycerides, and insulin resistance. The takeaway is this. Fructose itself isn't the problem. The source and the form matters. Fructose in whole fruit behaves very differently in the body than fructose from ultra-processed foods and sweetened drinks. Can I lose weight if I still eat fruit? Yes, absolutely. Whole fruit can be part of an eating pattern that supports weight loss. The key is context. Fruit works best when it's part of a balanced meal that includes vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, and protein from a plant or animal source. If you're having a fruit as a snack, pairing it helps as well. So apple slices with peanut butter or a handful of nuts is a great example. You get the fiber and the natural sweetness from that apple, plus healthy fats and protein that support satiety and blood sugar balance from the nuts. Another question I get often is, does sugar affect inflammation? Yes, particularly added sugar. High sugar intake can raise inflammatory markers over time, which may show up as stiff joints, achy muscles, or irritated skin. Repeated blood sugar and insulin spikes can stress tissues and worsen conditions like acne, rosacea, eczema, or psoriasis. Added sugar also increases oxidative stress, contributing to cellular wear and tear. And the skin and our joints are especially sensitive to this. The good news is that people often notice improvements, less morning stiffness, calmer skin within 2 to 4 weeks of cutting back of added sugars. Now, next question. Are natural sugars like honey or maple syrup better than white sugar? This is such a common question, and I'd include monk fruit here as well. The short answer is all sweeteners raise the blood sugar. While honey and maple syrup are less processed, they still have a similar effect on blood sugar. The bigger goal is moving away from searching for the health halo and towards needing less sweetness overall. This often starts for people with coffee, gradually using less sweetener rather than switching to a substitute. The same applies for desserts and drinks. Slowly reducing the amount works better than swapping sugar for sugar substitutes. One practical way of doing this is buying plain yogurt and adding your own sweetener. You'll almost always add less than what's in flavored yogurt, and over time you can cut back. Thinking of a sweetener could be honey, but you could also add the berries as another fully natural way to bring sweetness. Another great question is, are zero-calorie sweeteners safe for the gut microbiome? It helps to separate these into 2 categories. First, artificial sweeteners like sucralose, aspartame, and saccharin. These are not ideal for the microbiome. They can disrupt the gut-brain signaling that normally connects sweetness with calories, which can actually increase our hunger. Some studies show that people who regularly consume diet drinks end up eating more throughout the day. These sweeteners can also negatively affect the microbiome itself. Then, separately, there are the sweeteners derived from foods like monk fruit, stevia, and erythritol. These are generally more neutral for the microbiome, but they're still much sweeter than naturally sweetened foods like berries or dates. The goal remains the same, gradually retraining the palate to enjoy whole foods that are naturally sweet. Now that you've heard all about sugar and sugar substitutes, what do you do if you actually want to remove it from your body? So how do you detox from sugar without getting a massive headache? I'm not a big fan of the word detox. When people reduce added sugars, what's actually happening is a neurochemical adjustment, particularly involving dopamine, which is part of our reward system. So when dopamine signaling drops, some people experience mild headaches, irritability, or fogginess. This is a functional withdrawal, similar to cutting back on caffeine, though usually it's less severe than that. If someone regularly eats ultra-processed carbs and skips protein and fiber, reducing sugar can also cause a temporary dip in blood sugar, leading to shakiness or fatigue. And this isn't harmful, it's a fuel mismatch. There can also be fluid and electrolyte shifts. Lower sugar intake means lower insulin, which can increase sodium and water loss, leading to mild dehydration or headaches. This is especially common if sugar and ultra-processed foods are cut out without replacing them with real meals. Switching directly from sugar to artificial sweeteners can also trigger headaches, GI discomfort, or increased cravings for some people. What helps? Eating balanced meals with protein, fiber-rich carbohydrates, and healthy fats. Hydrate well, especially during the first few days. Reduce sugar gradually rather than all at once, and prioritize sleep, since poor sleep worsens withdrawal symptoms. In short, you're not detoxing toxins, you're retraining your metabolism and taste receptors. Symptoms usually peak around day 2 to 4 and resolve within a week. So how long does it take my taste buds to change? Usually takes about 2 weeks, which isn't that long. And this is both for sugar and for salt. So gradually reducing sugar helps. Also read labels for unexpected sources like nut butters or yogurts. Choosing a peanut butter with just nuts and optional salt is a great example. You can always add sweetness yourself and control the amount. The great thing is many people notice that after a few months without sweetened beverages or flavored products, those foods start to taste too sweet. And that's when you know that your palate has truly adjusted. Now, be kind to yourself. Sugar, salt, and fat are hyper-palatable and cravings are absolutely normal. So in my final thoughts, this conversation is about added sugar, not whole foods. Whole fruits, beans, and whole grains come with fiber and antioxidants and are not the problem. The biggest drivers of excess sugar intake are sugary drinks, desserts, candy, sweetened yogurts, and ultra-processed foods. Being aware of hidden sugars, eating balanced meals, and noticing how your body responds can make a really big difference. I hope this was helpful. Please send in your questions about sugar or anything else. Until next time, thank you for listening. I hope you feel motivated by this episode. Please leave us a rating and a review and mention our show to others who you think could use this information. That could be your doctor. It could be somebody who works in the food service industry who's interested in the health components. It could be a friend that is working on their health journey. If you want to hear more, please remember to follow Culinary Medicine Recipe on your favorite podcast listening platform. Until next time, salud and bon appetit. All content provided or opinions expressed in this episode are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please seek advice from your doctor or other qualified healthcare professional.